gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Paul Brown Show. We're taping live at 2 Exposed U Studio. We have Mr. Darrell Goodman, the founder, Mr. Ray Harvey, chief engineer. And today I have a special guest. I have Mr. John Henny. How you doing today, Mr. Henny?
I'm doing well, Mr. Brown. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And you're running for city council. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
That is correct. I tend to put my name in the 2021 race. My name is John Henny. I've been a Charlotte Mecklenburg County resident for over 25 years. I'm a community activist, very involved in the community. I'm also a coach of many local sports and teams. Probably a lot of the kids know me from coaching baseball, basketball, and football. You know, I've done a lot of voter registrations, and I'm very interested in joining the race in 2021. I'm a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, right here in Charlotte. So I love the city. The city is my home, and I'd like to see it get better, grow, and become even a greater city in the United States of America.
That's great, sir. So what made you want to get interested in this politics?
Well, really what interested me in politics is, of course, everybody has their opinions, but nobody really does anything about their opinions. You know, I've done as much as I can as far as volunteering in the community, speaking positively at different functions, trying to help at troubled youth, and also coaching kids and just, trying to do a lot of things to help clean up Charlotte and make it a better city. But I thought to myself, how can I really make a difference? What can I do to change Charlotte? I can sit here on the sidelines and talk about it and help in small bunches, which is a great thing. But I thought even better, let me get involved in politics. Let me join the city council so I can really be passionate and make a difference in the things that I want to do to change the community. Because, of course, everybody always has an opinion, but most people don't want to act on that opinion. And I think the best way for me to make a difference is to be involved in politics and try to use my voice to make a change around Charlotte.
Okay, you said change. Why is that so important, especially in today's society?
Change is important because, we don't want to stay stagnant. A lot of times, Charlotte or other places they're not current or used to change. I'll use a great quote from a great philosopher. I think it was Socrates who said, the only thing permanent in life is change. So it's very important that we make a change in Charlotte. We have a high crime rate right now. There's a lot of different things going on in the communities. And without this change and without trying to become a better city, we may see these numbers get worse or either see the city decline.
Now, I know you talked about some issues, so we're going to talk about some of the issues that we have going on in Charlotte. The first, you talk about one of the biggest issues is crime. What do you see is one of the biggest thing about crime, and how do you feel you can kind of like bring some kind of results to it?
I mean, I always think that crime is rooted in economic poverty. I think that it starts there because obviously, if you have money or you have opportunities to do jobs or you have opportunities to get out of an environment or opportunities to do something other than this, they say, what is idle hands of the devil's handiwork. I think crime is because of the lack of opportunities. I think if we can get jobs and get programs for people to join and to get involved in, that it'll make a difference and that we can help reduce the crime. And it starts at home. Of course, it starts with the parents and starts with the teaching and starts with the education and starts with really making a difference in the home. I just think that we need to get away from that. And it's really sad sometimes to watch the news. It becomes depressing almost times watching it at times. And, we need to make a difference. And the only way we can make that change is as a community, as a group, and as a family. And if we have to get away from the attitude, well, this crime is not affecting me because it's happening over in this area. Well, eventually that area will spill over to the area that you're in. So we need to nip this in the bud and try to correct this and try to do what we can to make a change and make a difference. And it starts with giving people opportunities.
I know we focus a lot on black crime, but it's really crime total. Black on black, black on white, white on, it's white on white. It's crime in general.
Correct. Yes, that is correct. And, we tend to focus on black crime, considering we're both African Americans. We see that a lot. But again, as I explained earlier, you got to realize this crime may be taking place in West Charlotte or wherever different parts of Afro-American communities, but this crime essentially and eventually will spill over into all the communities, and we need to take an interest. In the old days, the proverbs of ancient Africa says it takes a village to raise a child. I'm still a firm believer in that. It doesn't matter what race you are or what religion you are, where you come from. We need to take an interest in Charlotte, because as a whole and as a city, we're all one. And once we start getting that mentality that we're all one, we can work together to achieve great things across Charlotte and stop a lot of these things from happening.
I know another big issue we have in Charlotte is homelessness. How do we go about solving that?
Well, homelessness really, it touches me. I travel around Charlotte, and I was fortunate enough to live in a lot of different cities, major cities, to see a lot of homelessness in Los Angeles and New York and different places. And now that I'm seeing Charlotte, it tends to see that it's growing. We have Tent City and a lot of these other places. But see, a lot of times you'll see a person on the street begging, and they may just be begging and be scamming. But a lot of them, we have to change our mentality. I mean, I don't think anybody chooses to be homeless. I mean, who would want to be homeless? So we have to, first of all, change our thought of why people are homeless, and then start thinking about what can we do. There are a lot of vacant and empty hotels that maybe we can invest in and try to do, have these people put up in some of these places. It comes back to opportunities. What opportunities do these homeless people have? Some of them have mental issues. We need to focus on things that we can do to maybe get these people mental help, and then we have a lot of single women with kids that are homeless. And it just really touches my heart, as this homelessness across the Charlotte continues to grow. And with the horrible year that we had last year, 2020, and with COVID and with everything that's changing, and I'll be honest, the economic relief is really, it doesn't help a whole lot. I mean, $600 check can barely buy groceries for a family of 2 or 3, let alone rent a mortgage. So I think going into the future, we're going to have a lot more homeless people, but we need to take an interest in that. I mean, that could be you, that could be me, that could be our uncle, it could be our brother. Most people who are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're one check from being out on the streets. So we can't think that this is not impacting us at all. With COVID and with all these job losses, tomorrow we could be without jobs. So I think that's a very hot topic. I think it's very important that we take a look at that and see what we can do to make a difference with the homeless community.
How about cost of living versus wages?
The cost of living versus wages, that's a very tricky subject. I think as far as cost of living, I've lived in major cities such as Los Angeles and Charlotte. It makes a difference living in those cities like those, because it's way more expensive to live in Washington, D.C. and in New York or L.A. The cost of living versus wages here is not as bad, but we always want to look to raise the minimum wage. We always want to look for ways to give people more benefits. I mean, in a lot of countries, you got free education and free healthcare. If somehow we can implement that here, and those funds can be allocated back to your paycheck and maybe bump up the paycheck. I know that's a dream, but I mean, I think America, and I'm a firm believer in America being the greatest country in the world, that we should match some of these other countries with the free education and free healthcare, and take some of these funds and allocate it back into people's personal paychecks. And that's something that I think would make a difference. But that's something we always can look into. Again, the cost of living is always going up everywhere you go. We're running out of land, but we're getting more people. But it is something that needs to be discussed, and it's something that we can, again, as a community, come together and work on.
And how about when you see a lot of these communities being taken over by, the lack of funding? They can't afford to stay in their houses. They're being taken by the cities.
Well, right. I think they call that Regenification, I think is what it's called. I mean, I think about Piedmont Courts that was in downtown Charlotte. It was a community that was a little bit dilapidated, and basically it got bought out. And now you have, hundreds of thousands, $300,000 apartments. And, it's hard to stop progress, but what we should do is, along with the progress, we still got to find a way to help people that were in these communities that are losing these properties. Again, if these properties are being bought out at a low cost, which is unfortunate, maybe give these people some house if they own these houses. And now if it's apartments, there's not really a lot we can do except allocate apartments for these people to pay the same amount of rent moving somewhere else. But if there are their houses and they're being bought out, they should be able to at least, sell them houses for a really profitable price and take that money and be able to relocate somewhere else and buy even a better houses. But the way to stop Regenification and the way to stop people being pushed out is for us to invest in our communities, and we don't do that enough. When I say us, it doesn't matter what race or religion or where you come from. This your neighborhood. Invest in your neighborhood. Spend money in your local neighborhood. If you see a property, maybe a group of people can come together and invest in those properties and keep these homes from being bought out. And also, it gives you an opportunity to become an entrepreneur. We really lack entrepreneurship sometimes in these communities, but it's a lot of millionaires here in Charlotte that can take that money and invest in these communities and help people. It's a win-win for money, and it's a win-win for keeping those people in their homes.
I guess another big thing that we have in Charlotte is education, whereas, especially with the COVID-19 going on, you have the children sometimes not being able to go to schools, and the issues of at-home training, and the teachers, they're having to be able to go back to school, and their health issues. What do you feel about that situation?
Now that's a firecracker topic right there. I really think you have to do what's best for you at the end of the day. I can't tell you what you should do with your child. We can't tell the schools. And here's where we have the two sides. I can sit up here and advocate, oh, yeah, we need to put the kids back in school and put the teachers back in school. But there are a lot of people with underlying conditions, kids and teachers, that can be affected. And many people have passed away from this virus. Unfortunately, my father passed away in early 2020 last year. So I've been directly impacted by that. And that was a traumatic experience. So I speak from both sides. What I think, again, is we need to come up with some type of combination plan. They have plan A, plan B, and plan C. I think kids should be allowed to go back to school if their parents want them to. I think the teachers that don't mind being in school should be allowed to go to school. And I think the teachers that are concerned about being in the classroom, I think they should be allowed to teach remote. I think teachers don't get the respect that they deserve. They are educating the future of our nation and our kids, and they just really don't get as far as equitable pay or respect. But if we could come with a plan like that, if I'm a teacher, I mean, I can still teach virtually from home, because at the end of the day, I'm still just giving you education, talking to you. I would allow those teachers that wanted to be at home, be able to teach from home, and the students that want to be in the classroom, go to the classroom, and the teachers and the kids that want to be at home, I allow them to be at home. I think we need to find a combination, and nobody's mentioned that plan. It's either plan A, plan B, or plan C. And then kids are, don't want to go to school, and they're forced to go, or these teachers have to quit their jobs because they have babies or underlying conditions. And that's not fair. I just really think that these people should have an opportunity. I don't think it hurts anybody for the parents who can't find daycare and can't find that. Your kids can go to school. If they have that class with that virtual teacher, it should be a TV screen in that class. They should be able to teach that class. Those kids go to their next class, etc. And for the kids that do not want to be in school because of the virus, I think they should be allowed to stay at home. And I think that's the best of both worlds for everybody.
But how about the situation of the teachers who are being paid one of the lowest amount in the country, but are expected to be taught, give up their lives possibly for being an educator, because of this pandemic?
I think it goes back to what I just said before. They are being paid a low amount. I think that's something that needs to be discussed nationally. That topic is even bigger than Charlotte. That's something bigger than what we can discuss here on this platform at this time. But we definitely need to do more investing in teachers, because, again, people don't really think about it. These are the teachers that are educating the people that will be taking care of us when we're old. So we want to make sure that they get the most brightest education they can get. So we need to talk about equitable pay across the board for teachers. But again, to answer the first question that you just talked about, I think by giving an alternate, I would call it plan X, give them an alternate plan X that would allow the teachers not to risk their lives if they didn't want to. If I'm a teacher and I don't feel comfortable being in the classroom, then allow me to teach virtually to whoever wants to be taught virtually. And for those teachers that are adamant about being in the classroom, allow them to go back. I think we need to give them that choice. We owe them that much, and they deserve that much.
Okay, for some of the viewers, they probably would like to know, you probably don't have to answer this question, which party are you affiliated with? Because I guess in today's society, we seem to have a lot of issue between the Democrats and the Republicans. Now, you don't have to answer that question, but they probably would like to know, which one you would probably be affiliated with.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the biggest problems in America. And I think why we have such a divide across the country because we are so caught up in parties. We're not caught up in people. I think we need to be caught up in people. And I think that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter if I'm a Democrat or Republican. My true genuine of running is running from my heart. I want to see what's the best for you. And of course, you have lines between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party that you people would differ on. They differ on a lot of different topics. But at the end of the day, what are we here for? What are we voting for? Are we voting for ourselves or we're voting for a party? I mean, we're almost pigeonholed in voting for a certain party. And I think that's one of the things that I'm going to work on, if I get on city council, is to bring both parties together. Let's resolve the issues. I have a little bit of Republican in me. I have a little bit of Democratic, in me. But if I had to choose, I would probably say I'm more Democratic than I am Republican. But at the end of the day, we need to get away from these parties. We need to get away from the donkey and the elephant and focus on the people, because the people are the most important aspect of all of this. I don't care where you come from. I can go to a Republican party or a Democratic party. As long as I'm trying to make it what's right for you and what's right for everybody, I think that's where we lose focus. And my goal will be to bring both parties together. You always hear this decisiveness and this fighting and this back and forth. But while we're fighting over parties, people are dying. And I think we need to fight for the people and not for the party.
So we're running short on time now, Mr. Henny. Is there anything you would like to say to the audience as far as, why they should vote for Mr. John Henny?
First of all, I want to say get out and vote. I mean, I want you to vote for me, but if you don't feel that I'm your candidate, still get out and vote. People die for your right to vote. It's very serious. Most of the time, people do not vote for local politics. It is very important for you to vote because these local politics affect your life every day. The president's race was big and it was a big deal. But again, at the end of the day, you have to vote for your local politics because we are the people that can make the decisions that affect your lives and affect your family's lives and affect your children's lives. And as I always say, if you want to make your vote worth every penny, don't forget, vote for John Henny. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Henny, and we'll be getting back with you. And if you want more, if they want to contact you, how would they go about doing that?
My phone number is 704-453-1234. It's easy number, 704-453-1234. And I can be reached at John Henny for Charlotte at gmail.com. That is John Henny for Charlotte and the 4 is the number 4 for Charlotte at gmail.com. And I appreciate you giving me an opportunity on your platform to talk about making a difference and making a change in Charlotte. People always say voting doesn't make a difference. Well, I'm telling you, I will be that difference.
Thank you, Mr. Henny. Thank you for coming on the show, and we look forward to having you back on talking some more as we go into this election about making a difference in the city of Charlotte.
Thank you, sir, and have a great day. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the show, and you be encouraged. Thank you.